Good morning, New Life. Sorry about my voice. My name is George Hong, and I'm currently the shepherd of Phnom Penh House Church, previously shepherded by Peter Park and Judy Shui. To tell my testimony of how New Life Fellowship and House Church Ministry has impacted my growth as a Christian, I have to first describe my upbringing and relationship with Christ prior to coming to Houston for college. I was blessed to have grown up in a Christian household with parents who never complained once about making the long drive to church multiple times each week for Sunday service, youth group, praise team rehearsal, and various other church activities. From a young age, I found myself spending a lot of time with the older kids in the youth ministry, and by nature and necessity, stepping up to serve alongside them on praise team and as a small group leader. However, despite having a passion for Christ and love for those in my youth group, I was also vulnerable to the difficulties that any teenage leader would face. As a high school junior, I watched helplessly and at a loss of words as two close family friends my parents and I served alongside took their own lives. For the first time in my life, my faith wavered as I questioned God's sense of goodness when it came to this idea of bad things happening to good people who serve God faithfully. I began to struggle with my own faith and mental health, feeling let down and betrayed by God when in reality, I was wrestling with my individual sense of entitlement and expectation that God would reward me with earthly rewards for my servitude. But God humbled me through reading the book of Job and showed me with time that his plan for me was far better than the one I had imagined for myself. Despite this, Satan continued to speak lies into my fearful heart that similar worldly desires would only consume me more in college. I stayed away from serving as much as I could. Fast forward to freshman year of college, one of the first things I said to my previous shepherd, Peter, when I met him was that I didn't want to lead in college at all. His response after roasting me for supposedly being a big name on campus was very honest, despite only having talked to me for 5 minutes. That's not up to you, he said. If God calls you to lead, he calls you for a reason, and you obey that calling. Although I thought I made myself very clear, Peter and Judy would spend the next 2 years preparing me to lead our house church after they graduated. As college shepherds, our time leading our house churches is very short. I watched as Peter and Judy loved us unconditionally in accordance with John 4, humbly planting and sowing seeds in our hearts week after week with no expectation of being the ones to harvest the fruit of their labor. Judy, the most patient person I know, teaching me, the most impatient person, how to be a better listener. And Peter, the most consistent person I know, teaching me, the most inconsistent person, how to be a Christian in every aspect of my life. Another fond memory I have of the college ministry was this past Thanksgiving when I had to work 100 straight hours for my campus job. Pastor Sang and Justy organized a meal train with college volunteers, college shepherds, and members of my house church who all brought me just meals throughout the week. The sense of family that was taking care of me in Houston was especially encouraging to my parents back home and even more heartwarming for me here. In John 21, Jesus asked Peter if he loves him, and when Peter answers that he does, Jesus responds with the command, "Feed my sheep." As the exchange repeats itself, Peter becomes hurt when Jesus asks him a third time and instructs him to feed his sheep. Specifically, I'm reminded of all the times Jesus has asked me in the past and will ask me in the future if I love him and command me to feed his sheep and give more of myself to his kingdom. So Phnom Penh House Church, I commit myself to doing the following: feeding you physically and spiritually, praying for each and every one of you every day by name, reading the Bible reading the entire Bible 2 times each year as I grow my relationship with Christ alongside you, being there to support you in your highs and encourage you in your lows, and helping you develop an independent faith so that post Rice, wherever God leads you, you'll continue to seek him. Thank you.